Okay, so I wanted to share with you how I have been repurposing some of my content over the last couple of months. I say a couple of months. This is my routine. It changes slightly when I focus on a different platform, perhaps, but this is what I've been doing over the last few months. So you'll understand when you see it or you hear it, and then you kind of look at it and go, oh, that's why she's doing that. But I wanted to show you how easy it is. And it's one of the key factors that we talk about in creating confident content. So the very first thing that I will get you to do, and the very first thing that I always do, is what's my zone of genius? Where do I prefer to make content? Where is my creative genius at her most comfortable with fire and passion and drive and all of the stuff that you should be bringing to your content? I learned a long time ago that that's video content. Don't cringe at this when you think about video content, as I know some of you will, because it honestly took me a very long time to get here. If I was to take you back a few years, definitely back in my health business, you will not find video style content from me because I was not comfortable there. I could not do it. It just felt wrong. I looked wrong. Like it just wasn't something that I did. It was a stepping stone for me. So I went from learning how to create content in the written form, which actually is my worst type of content now, I feel, into podcasting, so audio style content. And as you know, or may not know, I did 500,000 downloads of that. We did 114 shows. It got picked up by a radio station. So I had a massive, massive audience that was listening to it all the time. But yes, I had that initial thought of, I don't like to hear the sound of my own voice. It just sounds weird. Like I sound really high pitched. It just wasn't, great. But after 114 episodes and many, many hours of listening to my own voice in editing suites, it just built my confidence, and that gave me the confidence ultimately to move on to video content. So I jumped into live stream. And then that went on to pre-recorded video. Believe it or not, I did it kind of the wrong way around. But it's developed, and it has given me the ability to do the things that you see me do today. So for me, choosing my preferred method is always going to be priority, and it should be yours as well. And it's one of the very first things that I get you to dive into inside creating confident content. You have to know where you're confident. You have to know where you're comfortable. You have to know where you bring the drive and you bring the fire and you bring the passion. You have to know how to step into your creative genius. Because until you do that, anything that you create is probably only going to be half-assed. And half-assed content doesn't deliver with the kind of power that you want it to deliver. So it's the first thing that we do, and that's the exact same thing that we do with me. It's what I do. And nothing that I teach in general, and certainly there's nothing inside of creating confident content, there's nothing in there that I don't do myself. I really do walk my talk. It's important to me. It's part of my integrity. I have to teach you the way that I do things, or at least I did do things, because it could be, and it's very likely that I'm a few steps ahead of you, but that's how it should be, right? But the things that I will show you are definitely things that I either already do or still do or have done that have got me to the space that I'm at, okay? So that's my first thing. Now, from there, it's about choosing your platform. And so I jump around a little bit, as you probably know. I like to take on different platforms to see what I can do and see whether my strategies work. And if you look at me and think, God, how does she do that? How does she build audiences on different platforms? The answer is content, right? It's all down to my content strategy, and it's everything that I'm going to show you inside creating confident content, all right? It's completely like everything. Bare bones, I'm bare. Anything you want to ask me, you can ask me, and I'll show you how, why, what tools you need, and whatever it is that you need to get for yourself. But currently, I am really working on my TikTok audience. And for 2022, I'm really going to be focusing on my YouTube audience just as well. So I love to create from TikTok. It's my comfort zone right now. I much prefer it as an app in general. There's functionality inside TikTok, I personally think, is far better than Instagram. I know I just said it, but there we go. That's how it is. But I want to show you how I repurpose from there. And I cover 6 or 7 different places, really easy, without any editing. It's just a case of repurposing the content into the different places. All right. So I start with creating most of my content over on TikTok. Okay, so let's just open this up. So as you can see, here's all my TikTok content. Now, most things that you will find on here, not all, because not everything is relevant to somewhere outside of TikTok. So if it's something that's really trendy on TikTok, you'll only find it on TikTok and it probably won't exist anywhere else. But stuff that's my tutorial-based information, you will find somewhere else. And so the very first place that I repurpose this to, as you probably know, is Instagram Reels. Yes, you need to remove the watermark, but otherwise it's a pretty straight up, upload. You don't need to do anything else to it. You don't need to edit it in any way. Yes, you need to add a slight caption if you want to, although you don't have to. It could just be a very quick sentence. You could transcribe the whole audio if it's something that you're teaching, if you wanted to, but you don't necessarily have to. I tend to stick captions on top of it and just post it. So that's my first one. So we've got TikTok and Instagram straight away. Now from here, I usually send it up to my stories as well, because I know that there's a different audience that watch stories versus those that are on the feed. So we've got TikTok, Instagram, and Instagram stories. That's 3 locations that we've got this on, just from one piece of content. The next place that I go from here usually is YouTube. It's my YouTube channel, and I stick all of my tutorial-based information on my YouTube shorts. So everything, again, completely straight repurpose. I do not do any editing, and I load it straight into YouTube shorts. So that's number 4, right? From here, we go over to Facebook, and it goes into my Facebook group, which is number 5. It'll also go onto my Facebook business page, which is number 6. So as you can see, within the space of about 10-15 minutes, I have created my content, repurposed it into 5 different locations without changing the format of it at all. There's just no need. I mean, you might want to pop a fancy cover on top of your Instagram Reels if you want to, but you don't actually have to. You don't need to do that. It would only be if you're particularly like a good aesthetic on your feed. I'm not overly asked about it. I do it for you guys. So when you see something that has a cover on it, that usually means that it's something that I'm teaching you. That's why I do it. It's not because I care about aesthetics, because I don't. The final thing that I do from here, and this happens once a week, so I make a little list, and I actually email this out to my email list, and I email some of the things, maybe all of them, depends how many I've done that week. I email the links to my YouTube shorts to show people the tutorials that I've created for them that week. So how many was that? 6. So we've got TikTok, Instagram stories, Facebook group, Facebook business page, YouTube shorts, and emails. So that's 7 different locations from one piece of content without any editing at all. And it genuinely is that easy. It's just that I know how to do things particularly well. I know what my my zone of genius is. I know where I can put these pieces of content without any editing. Now, if I wanted to go down the editing route, I could transcribe the audios and turn them into potential blogs or just written posts. I could rip out the audio and turn it into a mini podcast, like the Etsy series that I'm doing. I'm talking about taking an Etsy store and seeing what I do with that, whether I can sell digital products there. So it's a little series, it's a story. I could do things like that, but that all involves editing. So it could take it to different layers. Now, inside creating confident content, you would rely on your engines to do this for you. So we throw you into the different rooms, and the different rooms really is just you walking through different steps on learning the tools that you need to become really confident in what it is that you're going to create. So you start in the kitchen, and this is what talks to you about your zone of genius and picking the right platform for you and picking the method in which you prefer to create. So that you come to the table, you come to your desk when it's that, creation time, and you're confident with it and you're not fearful and you're not trying to create something that is so far out of your comfort zone that it just makes you feel really uncomfortable and you just don't create. It's the first thing we dive into. And then once you find it, yes, there are other few bits and pieces in there, then you jump into the engine room, and the engine room is going to give you the roadmap, I would pick the TikTok one, and it will show you the various ways in which you can repurpose that TikTok content for maximum exposure, for greater visibility, so that you're being seen by different people on different platforms at different times. That's how you expand your brand awareness. It's how people come to learn about you in different places and in different ways. Definitely now what I have noticed, there are lots of people in lots of different places. And yes, I do have different platforms, but I really do have quite a split audience as to where they prefer to learn from me. So it is important for me to make sure that I touch on the points that are important to me and the areas that I want to focus on, but also the areas that my audience are sitting waiting for me to show them and teach them different things. So I hope this has helped you to understand just a small piece that's inside creating confident content. I've just talked to you about two of the small pieces. It's finding the zone of genius, so the choosing your fuel section, and then your engines, the roadmaps, the things that's going to help you repurpose that content so that you can maximize its ability to do the hard work for you. You don't need to do any hard work, and you don't need to kind of create something and then try and create it in a different format or a different style that really doesn't feel comfortable to you. I learned a long time ago that written content for me is not my zone of genius. I don't find it comfortable. It's not how I prefer to create. I find it really, really hard. If someone told me to sit down and write a ton of blogs, which someone has done, a business coach has told me to do that years ago, and I remember spending a whole weekend writing just 8 blogs. It took me the whole weekend, and when it didn't actually give me any ROI, I vowed that I'd never write another blog again, and I haven't, because it's not how I do my best work. And this is really what creating confident content is really about. It's about you doing your best work and creating your best content, but doing it from a place that feels really easy. It shouldn't feel hard. It should be fun. And it should give you those leads, sales, engagement, and all the things, and growth and expert status and all the things that the internet promised you. It's just that you need to learn a few key pieces that you can rinse and repeat regardless of what platform you want or how you want to use it, so that you can move forward really effectively, confidently, comfortably, but with some really great results as well. So I hope you found that helpful. Any questions around creating confident content or anything that's around here, then hit me up in the DMs or via email. See you soon.